Welcome, everybody, to this Sunday morning service here at Salt and Light Christian Church. The story I have for you all this week is a little different than what I've been doing recently. I heard this story earlier in the week, and it's been stuck in my head ever since, so I figured I would share it all with you this morning. The story is about the old hymn, "I have decided to follow Jesus." So, about 200 years ago, a little more now, revival broke out in Wales, England, and we know it today as the Welsh Revival. And out of this revival, many people were called by the Holy Spirit to go out all around the world as missionaries. And many of these missionaries went to what is now modern-day northern India. At the time, northern India was inhabited by tribal peoples, and many of these tribes were quite savage and ruthless and violent. They were renowned for what they called their headhunters, and these were warriors who would go out and battle their enemy tribes and take their enemies' heads as trophies and display them around their villages and their homes. And so, as you can imagine, these are not the kind of people that you really want to try and go make friends with. However, these missionaries did just that to spread the gospel. We do not know the specific missionary who led this group. However, there was a specific tribe that a missionary was preaching the gospel to, and with very little success, mind you. However, the message was given to the people in that land. And one household, this man and his family, came to Christ and through the gospel message. And after the missionary was driven out of this tribe, this man and his family felt the calling of the Holy Spirit to continue his work, and they continued spreading the gospel in their tribe. However, this significantly upset the chief of this tribe. And so one fateful day, the chief had him and his family arrested and taken before the whole tribe at bow and arrow point. And the chief held this man and his wife and his two sons hostage. And he went to the man and he said to him, "Recant. Turn from your faith in this Jesus. Recant your belief, or else." And the man looked at the chief and he said to him, "I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back." And so the chief looked at the archers and gave the order, and his children were murdered and collapsed to the ground in front of him. Afterwards, the chief once again looked to this man and he said, "I'll give you another chance. Recant your faith in this Jesus, or else this time it'll be your wife." And the man this time looked the chief in the face and he said, "Though none go with me, I still will follow. No turning back, no turning back." And the chief gave the order, and the man's wife was murdered alongside his children. And the chief once more turned to the man and said, "Recant your faith in this Jesus." And the man, seeing his family murdered in front of him, looked to the chief and said, "The world behind me, the cross before me. No turning back, no turning back." And the chief turned to the archers and gave the order, and they murdered him as well with his family. And after that, there were no more Christians in that tribe. However, the gospel message was still there. The gospel message had still been proclaimed to those people. And over a period of time throughout the next year, the chief himself and the men of that tribe, looking at this man's zeal and his faith that he had in Jesus, couldn't just ignore it. And so they went and they welcomed another missionary into their tribe because of their curiosity of what could drive this man to have such faith. And over the period of the next year, the whole tribe ended up becoming Christians, including the chief. And not only that tribe, but they began their own missionary work, spreading the gospel to the other tribes around them. And revival broke out in northern India because of that man's faith. So thank you. Let's bring the music up.